Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we are taking a deep dive into whether or not we think Ikechi was right all along.
Oh my gosh. That question alone makes my skin crawl.
Me too.
Right? It makes my skin crawl. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Check out our last deep dive on on what we think about Brandon. Who is this Brandon? But we know who Ikechi is.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen throughout this whole season. We see him be verbally abusive, insulting, demeaning, all these things because he felt like was, for one, crossed some boundaries. That, for one, I want to reiterate one more time that it was him that took her hand and put it on his privates in that van or bus and things like that on when they had clothes on. You get what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden he's like, she all up on me, and she's like, you giving me green light, yellow light, red light. I'm paraphrasing all these things. And she apologized. And even after the apologies and after the promises from both of them that they go do better, Ikechi did not show up and did better as a husband. And now we get to basically the end of the season to where he's basically seeing their engagement. He's like, see? I told y'all. I want to tell you something from my opinion before I ask my wife. Even with everything that I've seen in this last episode, with the weirdness of this proposal from Brandon to MM being engaged, MM kissing and showing PDA, trying to basically make Ikechi jealous inside that party, I will never be Team Ikechi, right? Because at the end of the day, if I'm ever going to be Team Ikechi, that means I got to be Team Michelle, and I will never be Team Michelle. Because at the end of the day, you can still not want somebody, but still show them respect.
Right.
You still can show them the decency of basically, you know what, you are my wife in the moment until decision day, and at most, we go live in separate places, but I'm not going to call you a jack-a, I'm not, or basically a-hole, I'm not going to basically allude that you are a predator. So basically, when it comes down to this whole plug and play of basically this gotcha moment, I don't see it. I don't see it mainly because it's married at first sight. And his whole excuse talking to Pastor Kyle in that one episode saying, and men would have married anybody. Yeah.
All of y'all would.
That's the whole point of why you applied twice.
Exactly.
Because you would have married anybody. You get what I'm saying? What is your thoughts on basically, was Ikechi right all along about MM based on what we've seen?
Hell no.
Wow.
If I could add some more curse words in there, I would.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And the reason I say this is because everybody has room for growth and improvement. So I think that the issues that MM had going into the process were regular things that people can have when it comes to trying to find a way to basically share your life with somebody else and go from being independent to being interdependent.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, a lot of things that MM was displaying when it comes to maybe not being the most receptive, and even I don't even think that's true. I guess my thing is with MM, the ways that I saw that she could improve in the show is when it really came down to, number one, it's fresh on my mind, is when he said that he didn't want to talk, but she decided to extend the apology in front of everybody anyway, which is kind of like, yeah, you didn't really have to do that. If somebody says they don't want to talk to you, it is an issue of kind of just like respecting the fact that it's a boundary for that person who doesn't want to talk to you. So her kind of steamrolling through was an issue that I felt like she needed to find ways in order to pull back so that way he could either step up or fall out. You know what I'm saying? And allow him the room to fail or to come to the plate. And I think she ended up getting that towards the end because she was planning the date. She was trying to get him to, you know, come sit next to her when looking at the wedding book and all of these things which are positive and good in a normal relationship. But it is a thing of where a relationship is somewhat of a dance. So that way you have room for the person to come into their own into the relationship to lead, so to speak. And she wasn't allowing him to have space in the relationship. She was going to, by hell or high water, make this thing work. And it didn't work because he didn't want it to work. So those are the ways that I saw that MM could improve, but I felt like Ikechi wasn't right just by the simple fact that he didn't show up in the relationship to actually be a partner. he was critiquing her for the way that she was or the way that he perceived her to be, and a lot of the explanations he gave us didn't make sense, or he couldn't give full explanations and people had to interpret what he said. So because of that alone, if you don't have like real substantial information on why this doesn't work or why you have this view of this person, we kind of have to throw it out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like not applicable in a way.
Facts.
So I also think with him is that he had some type of internal issues going on that he was projecting onto her, because if she really is a stranger, why does she make you this angry? Why do you have to be this mean to her? Why do you have to pull back in such a way to where you're pretty much abandoning this person in the process? So I think that where he was coming from was a lot deeper and darker than was necessary for the situation. So
matter of fact, you hit the nail on the head a couple sentences ago. The reason why, and granted, I respect everyone's opinion when they say that, hey, maybe Ikechi was vindicated, and my response to their opinion is, y'all just wanted to blame him, basically since episode 17, or basically episode 22. You know how there's 100 episodes in this season.
For real.
So people will find every excuse to blame MM. And granted, MM deserves some blame, but not majority. You get what I'm saying? But you hit the nail on the head, specifically when you alluded to, Blair, of saying that, hey, Ikechi was given the floor multiple times to actually state the problem that he have with MM. And the best thing that he came up with was that she hit me over the head with an answer stick. Okay, we back to the riddles. You know what I'm saying? And when she was driving a car, she showed a little bit of road rage. Right? But this is not the first time that we asked him. They asked him on after parties. They asked him in the counseling sessions, and he couldn't give a real answer. And my thing is, so I'm not going to look at how MM is moving in her life, especially in this last episode, as weird as it was, as crazy as it may seem. And even though y'all may be moving at the same time, I don't think both. I think a lot of how she's moving in her new engagement is motivated by how bad the engagement was with Ikechi. With basically saying, I don't want to be the only woman. I don't want to be like Michelle leaving here with nobody.
Right.
I don't want to be like Carla leaving here with nobody. I'm trying to be like at least, well, not like Madison either, because Madison got David, but I'm trying to at least be at least a happy story for myself. Let me rewrite my story.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I can see that, but for Ikechi to come at the end and basically be like, I told you, I'd be like, come on now.
Yeah.
That's cheap. Now, I will say that you are right, Blair. Right. It hurts me to say that you are right about this. Is that, hey, one thing Ikechi said is that when he don't want to talk, don't force him to talk. Paraphrasing, right? She said, Ikechi, can I talk to you for a little bit? And that man said, no. Now, let's start right there. Literally, a couple days ago, you called me soulless.
Yep.
You said I have no soul, right? You said all these things, right? And then even before that, you wrote a letter to my departed and things like that when it comes to me.
Right.
Basically talking about how you're God's favorite, right? And basically that your prayers can't do nothing to change basically the outlooks of my life, and basically you wish the worst for me. Why would I want to talk to you?
Why would you want to talk to him?
Everything's
been said.
All the above, right?
Right.
But I think in that moment, MM was trying her best to, and granted, I'm gonna give her a little bill to get out of jail. When she came on the after party, she said, I wish I could do that over. Listen, a lot of emotions going on. A lot of things are being said while your emotions are heightened, but that is why, even though me and Blair have a healthy relationship, one thing I do not practice in my relationship is apologizing for what I say. That's why I try not to say anything, especially when I'm emotional and things of that nature and my emotions is at a height, because I can apologize for what I say, but that doesn't mean that you can unhear what I said.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't want to dig my ditch. I don't want to dig my ditch deeper by having to apologize. Like, you know what? I didn't have to say that about you. I'm sorry. And granted, women are some of the most forgiving people in the world. Happy Women's History Month to all of y'all, right? Because I know me. If you say something to me, that thing done grew roots in me and things like that. It's going to take a lot for me to uproot that. So that's why I'm like, even though I understand in the after party she said that she wants to do a do-over and that maybe she could have been a little lighter. And I understand that she want to apologize in front of everybody. And guess what? I love that line that Dr. Jackie said on Married to Medicine. Apologies are for you. You get what I'm saying? There are just some things that I cannot unhear. You cannot tell me you wish me the worst and then you want to talk to me and pull me aside.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that you're God's favorite and that basically your prayers and wishes for me is not going to basically change the outlook of my life and things of that nature. You can't give me a list of therapists to see and then be like, let's talk. No.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, man, why do you want to talk to him? But even in all of that, I feel like he's not vindicated because Ikechi, you could have showed up as a honorable guy of morals, a guy that's the thing about Ikechi is you could tell when he comes on the screen, he changed the mood of the whole room.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And it's a dark mood. It's not like everybody's happy to see him. It's almost like you make everybody uneasy because we don't know what to expect. Because I don't think you know what to expect most of the time.
Yeah.
But I will say for one thing that she could work on is maybe respecting that boundary of if he don't want to talk, don't talk to this guy. And I feel like if you believe on how you was treated on Married at First Sight, that made you write that letter, stand by it. Stand by your words. You get what I'm saying? But I understand why people, especially people who are older than us, Blair, would say, hey, sometimes you got to keep a cool head about you. You can't give in to that emotion of, I want to get back at you and get revenge. Because at the end of the day, that's a digital footprint. And truth be told, the best revenge is, okay, and actually moving on.
Well, one thing I do want to add is that if Ikechi had any point at all,
if he had any point
at all, and I prefer my verbiage over his just because I know what I'm talking about and he talks in circles.
Yeah.
And I hate when people do this for him and speak for him, but I'm going to give this example as a way that he might have a point. If an issue for him was that she steamrolled situations and conversations, and maybe we can allude that to be what he meant by the answer stick, is that she would steamroll situations and wouldn't give him space to answer and really to have a conversation that flowed, which is not true because when she would ask him questions, he verbally said, I'm not trying to answer your question.
Facts.
So that's why he doesn't have that point because he was purposefully trying to be difficult. And it would be different if she was steamrolling and you were really trying to get in there with something valuable. But no, you were getting in there to be agitating.
Facts.
Intentionally. But if there was a point to where he was trying to be genuine and she was doing her steamrolling thing, that's an opportunity for him to tell her, hey, let's pause. Let's have a conversation. Maybe we need to bring in the experts because I don't feel heard. There's a way to have conversations and to approach situations if you feel like the other person is not allowing you the room. And that's the thing with Ikechi is that he loses all his points because he handles things erratically himself. Why are you yelling at this lady and calling her an a-hole in front of her family? How do you think that's going to turn out good for you?
It doesn't.
So that's why he doesn't have points. But if any point, she can be a bit of a steamroller, but that's not something to where even it needs to be a deal breaker. That's a conversation that can be had. That is something that could be brought to the experts to say, this is a challenge we're having in our relationship. It's something that I would like us to try to work through. And for her, she would have been willing to work through it if it was brought to her attention in a loving and caring situation. And also with authenticity and, just the fact that you really wanted to work on it. But he didn't want to work on nothing.
No.
He wanted to be difficult. He wanted to say, why do you want to make the tacos when I could make tacos, but don't talk too much because then I'm going to have to make tacos. I don't really want to make tacos.
And he wasn't even going to be there.
So he wasn't there, right, to prep for the party. So it's just like, yeah, you have no ground to stand on because you were being difficult on purpose.
And that's what I'm saying. So, listen, I understand there is a lot of PR that's going on with Michelle, and a lot of people are acting like they did not, that they forgot what they saw with the whole Michelle and David thing. I know the show been on since October. So listen here, we are in March and we got the whole month to basically go through Married at First Sight because based on what I know, the reunion is 2 parts. Yeah. Right? And then we still got to see where are they now. So I understand that a lot of people forgot that, Ikechi's vindicated because, MM is aggressive. MM is this. And MM would plug and play. And MM would marry anybody and things like that. Hey, guess what? At one point, anybody was you. And guess what, Ikechi? You would have married anybody too because you followed the show. You followed the
Exactly.
show from Houston to Chicago.
And if you would have acted right, then you could have been up in that apartment too.
Exactly.
Because she didn't mean much of nothing.
Exactly. Whole time.
She really
whole
didn't mean
time.
much of nothing.
And that's what I'm saying. So let's not act like we did not see countless and countless and countless times of Ikechi being asked questions, and guess what? Him not giving an answer, him being silent, or him snapping and things like that. Here's the thing about it. I understand that. I just gotta say it plainly. Based on the actions that we saw in that last episode, it was goofy. You get what I'm saying? That's the best adjective that I can basically describe it as like it was just goofy. Like it was just weird. You get what I'm saying? If she just would have dated the guy, we would have been like, okay, cool. But you marrying a guy for and nothing, just accepting anything. But just because how she was acting was goofy, acting all kiddie and stuff like that, basically snickering and talking bad about her ex in front of, her new fiance and trying to show PDA, that doesn't mean that Ikechi ain't basically big goofy. You get what I'm saying? That he ain't basically the head honcho when it comes to goofy.
Right.
He comes in, because I truly believe he came in to antagonize, to basically poke the bear at because I feel like, now this is my personal opinion, never show someone your buttons, never show people like basically your triggers, because people will tap dance on it. He came there knowing that he had a date like basically minutes later, because he said he couldn't stay. He couldn't stay long enough to sit down and talk to nobody. He couldn't stay to basically grab a drink. He couldn't stay to grab anything to eat. So what was your reason of coming over?
Right.
To antagonize?
To say he had a date?
To basically antagonize,
Right.
right? But the whole time he didn't know that she had a whole fiance that he would introduce himself weirdly, because he came up to Ikechi and said, "Hey, I'm Brandon."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay, I don't know who Brandon is." And then he had to come back later and say, "Oh yeah, I'm Brandon. I'm fiance." Oh, okay. And then Ikechi said, "I don't give a F."
Right.
So listen here, they're both goofy. They both look weird, but let's not try to act like everything that Ikechi was saying was right, because given the opportunity time and time again, given by Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pia, and also Keisha, the host of After Party, he was given so many platforms to say, "Hey, what did do to you?"
Right.
And he couldn't say anything. Anything else?
That's it.
I feel like he's not vindicated. Listen, y'all, don't use that as an excuse to basically pile on our girl now. You get what I'm saying? She's already going through enough.
All right.
All right. We see you on the next deep dive. Bye.
Bye.